What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the after credit scene. We're breaking down episode 4 of Ms. Marvel. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so whenever we drop new content, you'll be the first one to know about it. Thank you in advance if you've already subscribed, and let's get on to the breakdown. So right off the bat here, my theory, my thrown out here left field idea here for episode 4 and where we might be going got blown out of the water immediately with a plane ride to Karachi. There was a throwaway line here that Kamala's grandma insisted that her and her mother come to Karachi and visit them since she couldn't make it to the wedding. One of those instances, one of those plot stories that I just didn't think about when I was thinking about other ideas, and you kind of get blindsided and tunnel vision whenever you're thinking about different ideas. And so very plausible, easy explanation, something that just moved the plot forward really quickly, but it was a good way to make a small story international without trying to come up with some big leaps and bounds to do some different things. And what I thought was really cool that I was not expecting was that it really highlighted the relationship between mothers and daughters, that this thread that they started early on in the episode, in the series actually, and they've kind of been playing with and hearkening back to several different times throughout the show, particularly with Kamala's mother and grandmother and their back and forth. And you kind of learn that Kamala's mother felt ostracized and put down because her mother, Kamala's grandmother, was all about these stories of fantasy and these different things, likely because of her mother, Aisha. And so Kamala's mother felt like she was weird or odd because the next door neighbors would make fun of Kamala's grandmother. And so that caused Kamala's mother to want to move to America, to want to take on bigger challenges, to do something different. And then her mother ends up becoming very, I won't say strict, but just more conventional. And so when Kamala starts wanting to branch out and be a little more like her grandmother perhaps, Kamala's mother really kind of pushes back against that. And so those interactions and getting to see those back and forth moments, especially in this coming of age story, I love that they have kept that together. I made comment in my prediction video that Disney Plus loves their episode 4s, and in that regard, this one really didn't disappoint. Not as many big reveals as we've had in some other shows, but definitely ramped up the fight scenes, which I thought were excellent. We got to see a little bit of a side story there where Damage Control had the clandestines or the jinn in custody, and we saw them break free. We got a little bit of a tease there of some Department of Damage Control Supermax facility. It reminded me of different places that S.H.I.E.L.D. had, the raft and the vault and all these different places that we've heard of before. But how does the government deal with superhuman threats or superheroes, or keep tabs on them now that S.H.I.E.L.D. is not really a thing? And so all of those things will be very interesting to play with moving forward as well. The story back in Karachi, though, Kamala very quickly starts investigating at the behest of her grandmother, and her grandmother providing the cover for her, which I thought was some nice storylines rather than just these plot holes of what mother would let her daughter just walk around Karachi unattended. But she's out with her cousins, she's out with people she knows, and then she has these little moments where she's able to get off on her own. I thought they dove into the action really quickly, introduced this larger world to Kamala, and introduced information really quickly. The one thing I was super excited about that I saw and I couldn't get out of my head was whenever they went to the Red Dagger lair, the man there ends up showing Kamala this map of our world, and then he kind of flips a switch and he shows the map of at least the Nur dimension on top of that map, that it's been mapped out and that they can see it. And I would imagine that there are other maps like that, a map that that would show you the Tau dimension, a map that would show you all these different dimensions that are on top of ours, that may look different than ours and may be bigger and may have some different things to them. If you have not watched my video on we need to talk about the multiverse, my metaphor of the multiverse and our reality and the different dimensions and those kind of things in the form of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich still holds true, oddly enough, and every time it gets confirmed in a movie or a TV show, I give it a little fist bump, because worked long and hard on that metaphor and tried to come up with something that I could wrap my mind around, and it still holds true pretty well. So I know it sounds weird, no, it doesn't make sense. There's going to be a link up here somewhere. Click on that and watch that if you're interested. But the map was very, very cool in showing some of these different things. I thought the visuals there were really good in explaining those things as it relates to realms and dimensions, and in a way that we haven't actually gotten before, other than just some throwaway lines, but the visuals really helped. And the visual of our world and the newer dimension and this veil between the two, which is probably what we're seeing when Kamala has her visions, this break in reality where she sees different things pop through, is that veil. And showing what would happen if that veil broke and how the newer dimension would end up destroying our reality, or our realm. Let's put it that way, use the right language. And so I thought all those visuals were really great. And then just the little bit of a time, not of a time jump, but where Kamala gets to go home to her grandmother's house and spend some time with her mother, and just having that extra day, that the next time she comes back to that lair, it would have given those clandestines a little bit of time to actually make it to Karachi, to find her, to find them, and to track her down using the bangle. And so just those little things, I thought they wrote the episode very well, and used those characters very well. As much as I missed Bruno and some of these other characters, I thought the story progressed really well, and there were some things that needed to be said and needed to happen that happened very, very well. Little things in this episode, the Red Dagger people end up giving her a scarf, a wrap that is going to end up being part of her final costume. She got to wear the mask several times, which was really great. And seeing those little pieces come together not only was really cool for the story, the origin story, but it actually fit very well with some of the lines and the comments that were in the episode, and the conversation specifically that she has with her grandmother early on when she first gets to the house. And she talks about everything feeling like it's broken and out of place, and that she's breaking more than she's fixing. And I was on the edge of my seat waiting for her grandmother to respond to that, because I knew it was going to really fit in with the narrative well. And her grandmother says that she needs to take time to find beauty in the pieces. That it wasn't some big thing that she had to have figured out all at the same time, all at one time, but that there were little pieces and little elements that she could put together, and that the journey is part of it, and that the little pieces make up the whole. And so for her superhero origin story, for her coming of age story as a teenager, all of those things really being pieced together well, I've got, I won't say really high hopes, but I'm confident in whatever direction this goes in episode 5 and 6, that we're really going to get a well-written story. Obviously, things can always flop, and they can make some leaps that they can't quite pay off. But I'm really confident in where they're going with it. I'm interested to see what happens when Kamala finds the other bangle. I'm interested to see what happens here at the end, moving forward, because in the middle of a battle, when one of the clandestines' spears touches Kamala's bangle, she is somehow transported to Karachi in the past. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it is a vision. It is a very strong vision somehow, that maybe she's passed out, that something else happened there, rather than she has gone back in time for multiple reasons. The biggest one being that the rules of time travel and the rules of things within our timeline doesn't mean that she couldn't go back in time, but that her going back in time and changing anything according to the rules in Endgame is not going to affect anything in the future. It would be awesome if these were Back to the Future type rules where we could find out that the trail of stars that Kamala's great-grandmother followed to get out of Karachi was in fact actually Kamala, who had gone back from the future to the past and had done something. Would be a really awesome story, but according to the rules of Endgame, as far as time travel is concerned, can't do that. So I think if we're following those rules, then this is going to be some kind of deep vision. It's going to be something related to the Noor dimension, something going on there that has to do with time and space and realms, and I have full confidence they'll explain it to us. But I think this is how Kamala finds the bangle, and she finds the other one, and what happens when she puts on that other bangle. Do her powers kind of solidify? Do they become something different? How does this wrap up? It's going to be very interesting to see, and they have spent a lot of time talking about Kamala and her personal journey, as well as how she is like but also unlike Captain Marvel. But they kind of have to keep that going, because these are going to have to connect up somehow in the Miss Marvel, in the Captain Marvel, the Marvels movie. And so all of these things are going on at the same time. They got a lot of different threads to put together. Got 2 more episodes to figure that out. It's going to be interesting to see how they do that. And I'm interested to see how quickly they go back to Jersey City. I would imagine we're going to get episode 5 half and half, but I don't know. And so it may be something that wraps up in Pakistan, but I doubt it. I think we go back in episode 6 at least, if not in episode 5 earlier, to Jersey City, because we need Bruno, we need some kind of cameo of a superhero someplace. I would assume in New York. The options go a lot, and the probability goes way up when we go back to New York for different possibilities of different heroes that could be. But 2 episodes left, we're going to have some cameos, and I think this story is going to wrap up really nicely. Again, curious what you guys think. Share your ideas in the comments. Always like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for doing that. Check out some of our other content over here. We got a lot of things you can sink your teeth into. And as always, when the next one drops, we'll catch you right back here. Later, guys.